What is something an SFW you've done, but if you told anyone, they would probably never want to talk to you again? I had a 1.5 year long relationship with my best friend's mother. We've never told anyone. I've paid multiple women to beat me up. No regrets. When I was 19, I paid $350 for the services of a woman of the night. I left and went to a friend's house where they were having a party. I got very drunk and realized I left my phone charger at this woman's motel. So I took an Uber back, and she wouldn't let me back in again unless I paid, so I gave her another $350, did the dirty deeds, and grabbed my charger and left. It wasn't until the next day I realized I could have just spent $10 on a new charger. I'm a 45-year-old man. I live in a co-op apartment building in New York City. I worked on a building beautification project with a fellow resident about 6 months ago. I'm guessing she's about 30 years my senior. All during the project, we shared a lot of laughs and formed a comfortable friendship. At the end of the project, she invited me to her apartment for dinner. We shared some great conversation and a lot of wine. At some point, while I was talking, she put her hand over mine, which I was resting on the table. She leaned in for a kiss and I reciprocated. We were intimate that night. It was a satisfying experience too. A week or so later, she called me up and asked if I could change a light bulb in her ceiling. It was a pretext for us to be intimate again. Since then, we've established a relationship where she texts me requesting some help. I go over to her place and we become intimate. If I told anyone in my life that I'm in an intimate relationship with a woman in her mid-70s, I'm not sure what the reaction would be. I think they'd think I've lost my mind. I had to go bad and felt my inner colon paining. I ran into the supply room and shoot in a box. It was horrible. Smelled so pungent too. I dumped a bunch of random stuff inside and taped the box closed and carried it out like I was getting needed supplies. I put the peanut butter knife into the jelly jar without cleaning it. Early 80s had a 6th grade teacher that was physically, emotionally, and verbally abusive. She would make us go get glasses of water for her during class. When it was my turn, I would get water out of the toilet and spit in it. Considering I was a very shy, quiet kid, still surprises me I did it. I paid for WinRAR back in 2006 when I was 14. I broke into the convenience store up the street from my house. I grabbed multiple cartons of cigarettes. I didn't and still don't smoke cigarettes, so I was just wanting to sell them to the neighborhood kids. One kid tried to blackmail me and say he would tell on me if I didn't give him cigarettes for free. I told him I had a pack I had opened and tried to smoke one, but didn't like it, and he could have that one. I went home, grabbed the pack, took each cigarette out and twirled the filter of each cigarette on something gross. My cat's butt, my dog's butt, touched it lightly to my cat's turds. Even twirled a filter on my own butt. I brought him another pack as well just to make him keep quiet. Never told him either. Peed on some random dude for money. Summer camp. Kid was being an absolute terror to everyone. Scream crying at night, destroying things, etc. It was clear the parents coddled him, treated him like their little perfect prince, and never disciplined him. They also called the camp multiple times a day to speak to him, which was against the rules. The kid needed a swift kick and to finally be told no. No one dared touch the kid, for obvious reasons. But one day, he went too far and I'd had enough. I was a junior counselor in training at the time and was supervising the archery course. The kid was terrible at it and was getting irate that other kids were hitting the target and he wasn't. So he took an arrow and began hitting the kid next to him with it. I snatched the arrow from him and he immediately let out a blood-curdling scream like a banshee that just wouldn't end. So I smacked him upside his head and told him to shut up. By some miracle, it worked on the spot. Kid was practically an angel the rest of the week. It was like I literally knocked some sense into him. I think it's crazy how many people are admitting their deepest secrets just because someone on the internet asked them to. Anyways, my girlfriend likes to degrade me, and I let her. I took pics of me hanging naked and post them all over the internet. Someone I knew found them, and we never spoke again, so I guess it fits lol. Paid for and watched my co-workers OnlyFans live. Lol. offered my CFO some tension relief. I was staying in a rinky-dink trailer in the woods on vacation when I was 11. I tend to get constipated when I can't use my own bathroom, and we were there for a full week. By day 5, I couldn't take it anymore and took the largest dump that has ever come out of a human body. The plumbing in this little shack stood absolutely no chance. I was panicking because first, there was no plunger, and second, I was due back at the lake. I had lied and said I needed to grab some screen. So in a moment of absolute panic, I found some cleaning gloves, reached in and pulled the turd out, and put it in a brown paper lunch bag. I biked to the lake 15 minutes away with the biggest, hardest, grossest poop I have ever seen sitting in a lunch sack like a ham and cheese sandwich, dangling from my handlebars. I yeeted it into the first trash can I saw when I got to the lake, hunched over and avoiding eye contact in the hopes whoever saw me do it would assume I just didn't like my lunch, and shamefully went to play bocce with my family, haunted by the brown paper bag of evil. I have literally never told a soul this story before. It feels good to let it out. One time, my daughter asked me to check under the bed for monsters, but I didn't really check, I just pretended to check. At 16, I stole a flashlight from a local intimacy shop, then drove off not being able to wait to use it. I used it while driving and actually finished, but post-nut clarity set in. I threw it out the window into what I thought was some woods, but I looked last second to have an image burned into my mind. The image of a used flashlight exploding onto a gravestone from a cemetery at 45 miles per hour. Reality set in then. Oh my god, this one does it for me, dude. Someone probably found a completely obliterated flashlight in the graveyard in the daylight, perhaps near their loved one, and surely had a moment of just, what the absolute heck happened here? Reading this made me realize I'm no different from the guy standing next to me when it comes to teenage experiences. Reading this thread not only made me, oh wow, but took a lot of bad self-image and guilt off my mind. That's been bothering me for so many years. I love you all. I drove the forklift even though I'm not forklift certified. I've tried to kill myself roughly 27 times. My last attempt was about 2 years ago. Stood on the top of an unsecured ladder with no spotter. I had to laugh so hard that I peed in an elevator because I couldn't hold my laughter. There was a stranger with me going 20 floors up. The entire elevator was full of piss. I was 12. I choked on a girl's tongue in a park bathroom as a teenager. For more context, when I was a teenager, I was in a not-so-serious relationship with a girl who was in a lot of my classes. After a couple of months, she began showing me videos on how to engage in bondage, and she wanted to try it. Being the stupid teenager I was, we went to a park bathroom by my place. It started really weird. She tied me up with red yarn she got from a craft store, and some clothes came off. Not like fully, but, you know, things got heated. And all of a sudden she stops and says, "You're not going down on me unless you can French kiss." Before this even, I had never kissed anyone with tongue ever. I let her try to kiss me like that. She stuck her tongue all the way down my throat and I gagged into the toilet. She put her clothes back on and left, and we broke up a couple days later. To this day, I refuse to kiss anyone with tongue because of this experience. The texture of someone's tongue is just something I can't handle, and I've accepted that. It freaks me out now. One of my best friends in college was a computer science and Japanese double major who befriended quite a few Korean students. One night, we were bar hopping when he steered us to a frat party to which he'd been invited. The guys at the party were glad to see him and very welcoming of me, but they were complete jerks to the Koreans and were way too drunk to be subtle about their racism. We promptly chose to vacate, but I explained to our hosts that I needed to pay the rent on the way out. I was genuinely in pain. I had to go so badly, and they kindly directed their new buddy to the restroom by the entrance. I told my companions I'd meet them outside, made sure they exited, and closed myself in the bathroom. I then pissed on the seat, and the floor, and the toilet paper roll, and their toothbrushes, and their towels. I stood in the middle of the room and spun around in circles, pissing on every surface and item I could, so long as it wasn't actually in the bowl. I then fixed my hair, checked my teeth, and got the hell out of Dodge. Those were strange and wild stories from people who decided to share them on Reddit. Thank you for watching. Check out our other videos and subscribe for more.